Today's video, I'm going to talk about how to improve your relationship with your kids. Hi, I'm Casey Lepper, and I help you overcome anything that stands in the way of creating your dream life. So many parents I work with, or so many people who want to be parents, are really stressed about being their best self to their kids. And because we live in a culture that has so much knowledge and so much information about what being a good parent looks like, it inevitably creates a culture of high pressure. This video is going to provide you with really valuable information for you to determine how to be your best parent, and as the result, improve your relationship to your kids. Everything I'm teaching today can be applied to your own life. It's not a one-size-fits-all, but truthfully, these are deep spiritual understandings of how to be our best person. And as a result, it allows us to be better parents because we don't have quite as much attachment and we have more understanding about where some of the negative patterns are coming from. So the first place I want to start is re-identifying with what it means to be a good parent. Instead of saying good parent, I want you to say conscious parent. Good can mean perfect, can mean always do the right thing. And if you are a parent watching this, you know it's really hard to always do the best thing because our nervous systems are pushed. Toddlers have really intense emotions. And if there's not some sort of grace given with parents making a mistake, it's going to actually tighten us and make us way more frustrated in the moment. So it's about being a conscious parent. And when I say conscious, I mean you're understanding where your own baggage is, where your preferences are, what your attachments are. When you're conscious of what you're projecting onto your child, you can look at the behavior with a way more dimensional viewpoint. So for example, I know that I really, really value a clean house. You can see my house in the background. It's very white and I have 2 kids. My attachment's being tested all the time. And so because I know I really prefer a clean house, but I have to be realistic when it comes to having 2 young kids, I am already understanding that when they're walking around with a smoothie that happened this morning and they're around the white furniture, I'm going to feel my nervous system start to get a little dysregulated because I know I'm attached to the furniture being clean. So because I'm already aware of this pattern, I can take a step back and choose a better way to respond. I can think any mess can be cleaned up. I can guide them back into the kitchen, or I could just do the work of not being so attached to everything being clean. That's my work. To make my kids and to project onto my kids to be perfectly clean and to never get anything on white furniture is not their problem, it's my problem. So conscious means you're mindful of your interactions with your kids. You're mindful of the attachments that you have and how those attachments might be making it harder on you. So do you have an attachment to white furniture staying white? Do you have an attachment to your kids eating all of their vegetables? Understanding where some of these come from and recognizing that it's actually your responsibility to uncover and not theirs can alleviate a lot of the necessary fights that come in, whether the kid is a toddler or a teenager. So the more conscious you are, the more challenging you are of your own belief systems and preconceived notions, as well as your expectations, it is going to allow you to remain more regulated, more understanding, more patient, and more conscious. So the goal is to be a conscious parent, not a perfect parent, not always 100% of the time responding in the best way. It's that each issue that arises, each mistake, each time you regret how you responded, you say, I can do better next time because I'm choosing to reflect on that painful experience. The second part of improving your relationship to your kids and ultimately being a more conscious parent is to embrace your child as their authentic self. When we just can stand back and look at them as their own person, and that we're merely guiding and we're not forcing or molding, it's going to allow our kids to feel so much more autonomous and so much more connected to themselves. Being able to step back and just experience their unique individuality and to support it and to show love with it and not determine or give them value based on them acting in a way that we want them to act, that's going to make these little humans feel self-worth, accepted, and loved immediately. And so think about the people you know, or maybe you are a person who felt completely worthy, completely loved, safe, understood, accepted in your childhood. When those people grow up, they have so much lightness to them because they love themselves, because their parents loved them. And so when you step back and just look at your child and you think, who are they? They're already who they are. They're just emerging and unfolding, similar to a plant that already has within it the DNA and the potential to be what that plant is supposed to be. We just need to nurture that plant. And when we're projecting our wounds onto our kids, we're actually molding them to be something that they're not. We're getting them out of alignment. So being able to be aware of what you were missing in your life might tell you what you're most likely to project. So for example, I had eating disorders and body image issues growing up. If I didn't heal that, if I didn't shift that mindset and that distortion in my heart and my subconscious, I likely would be really, really controlling about what my kids ate. I would likely start to value them based on if they were thin or not. And unfortunately, this is a pattern that I think replicates so often. And in my experience, most often with women, that mom doesn't like what she looks like and is really disparaging to herself in the mirror. Child hears that and so starts to disparage herself in the mirror. And then directly, mom might comment on what the child's eating, what the teenager is eating, whether she's working out or taking care of herself. And I understand you want to be able to care for your child, but when it is coming from a source of your fear, insecurity, or wound, it is not going to bear the best fruit. You want to clean that up. And so then any way that you're guiding your kid when you're healed is going to actually feel loving and supportive, instead of indicate something that you don't think that they're good enough in. So you want to be really, really clear about how you're projecting onto your kids and allow them to unfold in the way that they need to. Understanding your role as a guide. You are guiding their expression. Don't mold, don't shape, don't project. So this is really about healing our own wounds, to be understanding of us as individuated from them. When a parent hasn't done any necessary healing work, then they likely enmesh with their child, which means their identity is too closely related to the child's. And this fusion happens, and it's not good for the parent and it's not good for the child, because the child ends up growing up saying, I have to take care of my parent, that they feel that responsibility and they feel that burden. And that dependency really creates this cycle and a dynamic that inevitably prevents both people from growing. And so the parent's responsibility is to heal their own wounds so they're never burdening their child with their unhealed wounds and attachments. The fourth piece that's going to let you have a better relationship to your kids is to not be in control, but be a collaborator. So the second we think we're 100% in control of our child's life is the second that we allow our ego, our subconscious, our fears, wounds, and attachments to take the wheel. It constrains that relationship with our child when we think we're in control. I already said our job is to really guide them, to be able to be opening and nurturing and to let them make room, make moves, make decisions, and see how they unfold. Now, if your child is running in a park and there's a beehive over here, you're going to protect them. But controlling is holding the child and not letting them leave your lap because over here is a hive of bees. You want to make sure to be a collaborator by also asking questions. You want to be able to engage, understand what they want. And this can start really young. So with my son who's 3, we ask him, today, do you want to go here or do you want to go there? We give him a sense of autonomy and authority in his own life. Because when kids aren't given some room to make decisions early on, they get to college and they kind of freak out. They kind of lose it because they have way too many options. They don't know how to discern yet because they weren't given an ability to make decisions in a more safe environment. And so if you can really allow yourself to be a collaborator and you think about yourself as a collaborator with your child, they're going to feel that mutual respect and trust. And that is going to really allow the relationship to be so much stronger, especially during the teenage years. So we want to be able to be a conscious parent, being compassionate that we're not always going to be perfect, but that we're seeking to understand and course correct as things come up. We want to be able to understand that the child is who they are and that we're going to step back and embrace their authentic self so they feel worthy, accepted, and loved. This gives them the best foundation to move forward on their path. And as a result, they feel understood by us. They feel loved unconditionally by us. And that's always going to be the bedrock of a really great relationship. We constantly have to be on the lookout for our own attachments, fears, and wounds. If we have something unhealed, it's really easy to project that onto the child. And then we want to be that collaborator instead of the controller. We want to give them space. And if you're doing all 4 of these things, even through the ups and downs, the developmental milestones, you're likely going to be able to have such a good relationship with your child. And all of these strategies, these 4 main ones, are things that you can start early on. I have a 1-year-old daughter, and we already practice these. And so I've really seen what parenting can look like when you take a step back. Because the parents who think they're completely in control, when they're not conscious, when they want to be perfect, when they're unhealed, tend to show up a lot more anxious, a lot more stressed, and the children feed off that energy. They absorb the energy of their parents. And so behavioral issues can actually be stemming from the anxiety of the parent. So if you're a parent watching this, be really cognizant about how you're showing up as a parent. And just think about these 4 pieces that all really fit together that create the best foundation for a long-term relationship with your child.